Hey guys, welcome to What? Not Another Reselling Podcast. This is our special 10th episode of What? Not Another Reselling Podcast. My name is Brian. This is my wife, Tracy. And together we do this podcast where we focus mostly on live reselling and the different live reselling platforms. Okay, we've had a lot of guests on our shows. We've had a
Yes.
lot of sellers that we're going to talk about today. We're going to try to keep it under an hour. I know the last episode was like an hour and 20 minutes, but we're going to try our best to keep this one under an hour. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what we've been able to accomplish on the podcast so far.
Yes. We started out, obviously this is our 10th episode. Our first one was just Brian and I talking just like this. And in 10 episodes, we've managed to have some amazing guests. And what I like about it is that each episode we've hit on a different aspect of live selling because everybody has their own stories.
Yeah.
And I think that's incredible.
And we've had some growth in the on Whatnot with YouTube. Sorry, on YouTube, we've had some growth on Whatnot too, but that's to be expected because we're just trying to grow on Whatnot also. But on YouTube, we have had some growth.
Yes.
We've had our videos have had some good views. We're averaging. What do you think we're averaging on view count for our videos?
40 to 50 at this point.
Yeah,
which is really exciting.
Yeah. For us, it is very exciting. And we've had a lot of new subscribers coming in. We've had people leaving some really excellent comments.
Which I love. That just makes me so happy. Another thing is that we've had a couple of spikes in our viewership here on the podcast, which is really exciting because it's like, well, something about that episode resonated with people. And I love hearing that.
And we're going to try to replicate some of those things with some of our episodes. But all of our episodes, like I said, have been very well focused on certain and new aspects of it. The first episode that we did, as Tracy said, was just us introducing what we were going to be doing on our podcast and introducing us. We've been on YouTube for quite a while. Tracy and I have, but we have been more or less, I would call it a hobby.
Very, very hobbyist.
Yeah.
This year we decided we were going to try to make it a little bit more important part of our reselling life. We release regular videos every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We do our podcast on Sunday, and the other days I try to fill in with a short or a little day in the life or something like that. Just for fun.
On Monday we do storage unit tips because Tracy and I have been buying storage units for 10 years. That's not. We were at one time, that was our primary sourcing. Now our primary sourcing is just spread out over lots of different things. Okay. So let's talk about some of the guests that we had.
Let's do that.
The second episode that we had our very first guest on that, and it was Corey from Grams and Pops Vintage. And I mean, that was just an amazing guest to have as our first guest. We learned a lot about how he started reselling, him and Teresa. And one of the amazing things is we had him on before we met him, because we did end up meeting him at the Plains to Profit meetup in Omaha, Nebraska, about probably 2 or 3 weeks after we did the episode. And we were able to talk about how they launched their own platform, reselling platform on the district called the dollar auction. Okay, where everything starts off at $1. Okay, and that was one of our that was just a great episode. But all of our episodes were really great.
Our next episode, we had Ken from SSK Promo on, and we were talking a lot about the drama that can be involved in live reselling, because there's always drama when you're dealing with people and one-on-one interactions. So
that was also right around the time that Nicole got kicked off of Whatnot, and
there was just
all of that
drama
started.
everywhere.
So there was drama everywhere. And the great thing was talking about Ken was that Ken doesn't do drama.
No, not at all.
And Ken is one of our very, very good friends who we got to see at the Nashville meetup. Okay. And speaking of the Nashville meetup, yes, our fourth episode and our third guest was Ray, the Nashville Flipper. Oh my gosh, what an amazing episode that we had talking with Ray, learning about, then I never even knew this. I never even would have expected this, because one of the things that we do is we do questions and answers. And one of the first questions that I always ask is, how did you get started on reselling? I'm sitting here getting ready to think Pokemon cards, some
Maybe video games
video
or something like that.
Sneakers.
Yep.
Okay. He bought sneakers and had a sneaker collection and started selling sneakers. And that was just phenomenal. I loved talking to Ray about that. And of course, we also talked about the Nashville meetup, which has taken place.
And it was amazing.
It was amazing. It was a
bigger than the year
episode.
before. And I think everybody's looking forward to next year already.
Yes, everybody's already looking forward, booking the hotels, I think, already a year in advance. I think Ray's still trying to catch his breath from it. But we were going to go see Ray this past weekend. But we had a little bit of an illness, and so we didn't want to. And Ray had just gotten over it, so it was one of those things where we decided that it wasn't the right time, because we go up to Nashville all the time anyway.
Our next episode 5, we had Coco Loves Life. We have not gotten to meet her in person yet, but it's definitely going to happen. I talk to Coco pretty much every day. And since we had her on, she has been able to purchase a car, which was a big goal of hers. So that's super exciting. Excellent. Definitely helps her in growing her reselling journey.
Yeah. And also we talked about how being a single parent and doing live reselling. It's like, wow. I mean, talk about Tracy and I. We're both parents. Obviously, we don't have children of our own, but Tracy has
together.
A daughter. Yeah, together. Tracy has a daughter, and I have a daughter and a son. But they're both older.
But we both did experience life as a single parent, so that was definitely
not live selling.
No.
But I mean, I couldn't even imagine it. But that was a great episode. So if you get a chance, go back and check out that one, especially if you are a single parent and thinking about doing live selling. That was a really, really good one. Episode 6. Okay. Oh my gosh, it was like we hit the top. Guys, we had an exclusive. I think nobody else, none of the other podcasts that I know of. Now, if I'm wrong, I will fully admit it. But I don't think any of the other podcasts have ever had an exclusive buyer on their podcast as a guest.
And if they did, it wasn't Willow. So
if they did, it wasn't Willow. So it wouldn't have been near as good. But our guest on episode number 6 was Willow, who is one of our OG buyers on Whatnot. And it was absolutely phenomenal.
It was just a great conversation.
It was. We got to learn so much about the minds of a buyer. Now, most of us are buyers, but we're buyers for reselling. This is a buyer for a buyer. Okay.
Right.
And so that was just great to learn about what they're looking for, some of the things that they appeal to them, other than just pricing, obviously. But it was just a great episode. And on top of that, we got to meet Willow at the Peaches to Beaches highway sale that goes from Brunswick, Georgia to Barnesville, Georgia. And we got to meet and spend a dinner with Willow.
And speaking of people we met at Peaches to Beaches, our next guest we also got to eat a meal with, and we actually went picking with him. That was Chris, the Cajun reseller. And we've actually seen him twice now. He was at the Nashville meetup as well. So we've spent a lot of time with Chris recently. He's still going strong on Whatnot. He's getting super close to that, like 1,000 sales, which if you are a Whatnotter, you know how important that is.
Yes.
But yeah, awesome guy and very, very, very smart.
Very, very intelligent.
I look forward
and abusive.
I look forward to seeing where
his
business goes, because I could totally see him exploding if he ever really decided, hey, Whatnot is my thing.
Yeah, one of the things we discussed with Chris was the difference between live selling and static listing on pricing. Getting those values for items and how it comes with growth.
And someone else who kind of goes back and forth between are they into live selling or static selling was our next guest, episode 8, Dan in Demand.
Yes.
He is a whatnotter. He's on Dibdit or the Dibdit sites on the district, and he does sell on eBay, and he definitely feels the pinch of live selling, but he loves live selling at the same time. So it was a lot of fun talking to him because a lot of those pros and cons we have discussed, he just hit the nail on the head with those.
That episode, I literally was thinking about how to title that episode, and we talked about everything, every single thing that you could think about talking. The conversation, we have show notes. Tracy and I have show notes that we have, and we've got prepared notes. With Dan, they went out the window.
Well, Dan is a lot like us in that way that we just go off on tangents.
Yeah.
So having a guest that was kind of wired the same way we are, it was kind of bad news and good news, however you want to look at it.
But it was a great episode, though. I mean, it really was. But it was one of those ones where it was like, well, Dan,
show notes are gone.
Yeah, I would ask Dan, like, how did you get started in reselling? And he went off on this big long tangent, and then it came back to that the answer of that question. But eventually. I absolutely love having Dan on.
I look forward to bringing him back.
Yeah.
I can honestly say that all of our guests I would love to have back at some point in the future, but Dan is just so easy to talk to.
Yeah,
he really is.
Now, the last episode, which was episode number 9, and our guest.
This was the one I was kicked off of, and I was not allowed
to
participate.
She did not get kicked off of this one, guys. Tracy was still recuperating.
Yeah, I was.
There was a suspicion that she might have gotten COVID, but we don't know for sure. She actually tested negative, but she had all of the symptoms, and she just really wasn't feeling well. So it was one of those things where I wanted her to be on the show because I love having her on there. It helps for the flow of the show. But we had our probably biggest seller on Whatnot, and probably, in my opinion, one of the most knowledgeable.
Yeah.
And just
he has influenced our business more than just about anybody.
And of course, we're talking about Jeremy from Green 13. He was on the episode last week. If you haven't gone to watch that one, please do.
Stop watching this one and go watch that one.
Yeah, I do. And then come back to this one.
Come back to this one.
But he is an amazing, amazing person. And one of the things that we talked about was the philosophy of the buyer and how, as a seller, target buyers. Instead of you having a philosophy of a seller, he brings on the philosophy of the buyer and what stimulates the buyer's activity to want to buy from you, and how to grow on Whatnot. I think that was one of the biggest questions that we asked him was, how do you become a successful larger seller on the platform? And it was just phenomenal. I am definitely hoping to that was also our longest episode too that we did. It was an hour and just about 20 minutes.
Because I wasn't here to try to cut things short.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you right now, I did try to cut things short. Jeremy he's
got a lot to say, and it's great information.
It is. Okay. So you definitely want to check out that episode. It's got the most, I think that one has the most comments on it right now so far. I know that every time I go into
we've been so lucky that some of his followers have come out and subscribed to our channel. So I want to welcome all of y'all to Jack's Treasures and Whatnot, another reselling podcast, because y'all are awesome.
And he doesn't have a YouTube presence
yet.
So he is going to get one. And I'm sitting there thinking, going, man, I'm glad that I have him on before he has this, because once he has it, he's going to blow up so big that I'm not going to be able to, he's not going to want to come down to our little pity channel and stuff like that. But he was phenomenal. And we will have, we'll try to get Jeremy back on as a guest. So we have had some amazing guests on our show.
Another section, or a section that we do every single week, is we spotlight sellers on Whatnot and sometimes on other platforms.
Yeah.
And we do 3 different categories. There's a new seller, a growing seller, and a established or, you know, a larger seller.
This is us just trying to give back to the community and
Mhm.
support the community and say, hey, check out
Get
some of
some
these
names
guys.
out there, you know,
know,
ideas of people you might want to go check out.
Yep.
So we're going to do kind of a little update on everybody that we've talked about.
Yep. I'm going to do the new sellers that we talked about, and I'm going to do one for today's episode too. So we're going to have a new seller for today's episode.
Mhm.
Our first new seller was Grams and Pops Vintage, who Pops was Corey was our first guest, but our first spotlight was in our first episode. We didn't have any guests. Okay. But I will give you this update. He is selling strictly on the dollar auction, which is the site that
for live selling. He's
for
doing
live selling.
auction,
Okay. Him and his wife, Teresa, they don't do Whatnot anymore. They haven't excluded Whatnot anymore, but right now they're strictly doing on that one because they're building their business with that. I should say they're building their platform, which is doing very, very well. After that, we had Brandy's Bargains. Brandy's Bargains is doing
our neighbor.
She's our neighbor, like right next
Literal
door.
neighbor.
And when I was looking up her to see if how she was doing on Whatnot and everything like that, she is coming up on someone like 500 or 600 sales, and she's only been on for about a month, and she was live when I was looking her up. So that's just an amazing feeling right there. So, and I will have links down there below to all of these sellers. So you're going to see a bunch of links down there below on today's episode. Our next one was Cozy Chaos Auctions, who we met at Peaches to Beaches. We met them. They were having a little store. They were a vendor. And they told us that they did Whatnot, and we checked them out and we looked them up. They say, hey, this is really great. So we did a spotlight on them. They are growing and they are still doing shows. Okay, they're still doing shows. I'm gonna have to look at my notes on this one. They have over 1.1 thousand in sales, which that's a big deal for live selling for Whatnot. I know for sure, because that's how you get paid instantly. Then we had Drifting Thrifters. Okay, another one who is still doing shows on Whatnot, doing really well. She's got over 1,000 sales. Let me see, what do I
1,000 followers.
1,000 followers. Yeah, she's gotten over 1,000 followers, and she's coming up on that 1,000 sales mark. You name it, I've got it. Okay, we haven't spent a lot of time with them. They're coming up on 500 items sold, and they've literally been on the app for about 3 weeks. Okay, or 4 weeks. So another one, Cajun Queen 2011.
She's our first graduate, by the way.
Yeah,
she has graduated to what we consider to be an growing seller.
Yep, she's over 1,000 sales and 1,000 followers. Okay, so she's got the double whammies that she did on that one. Yeah, Betty is amazing. Bearded Thrifter Scott. Oh my gosh, Bearded Picker Scott. Okay, I apologize for that one. There's so many bearded people out there. It's just incredible. But Bearded Scott,
old man picker,
who we met at the Nashville meetup, both Nashville meetups that we went to. Okay, has his own YouTube channel and is huge on YouTube, but not so much on Whatnot. Well, guess what? Yesterday he was on his first raid train, which was a primetime spotlight. Oh, well, it would have been last week. I'm sorry, it would have been last week. We're recording this a week in advance because of the how busy we are.
Last night when we recorded it.
Yeah. So he was on his first raid train, did phenomenal on it. I mean, I
tried to bid on like 3 or 4 things and I got outbid like that.
I did too.
He was getting good prices.
You could just see him lighting up on seeing all of these things.
And he had his wife, Joni, helping out, which I wish I could have met her at Nashville. She was not feeling well.
Right.
But she just seems like such a funny lady. I think I would really like her.
And I can tell you right now, the sky's the limit for the Bearded Picker. He's gonna go through the roof. And then we had Vanessa, who I think that's a play on words.
That one.
Oh, I forgot Cajun Reseller. Cajun Reseller, he was also live when I checked him out. And he's getting really close to 1,000 sales right now. Okay. He was live when I looked him up. Okay. Just to look to see how he's still doing shows. I knew he was still doing shows, but I wanted to check his numbers. And yes, he's coming up on that big $1,000 sale mark and going to that next level.
If you're into plush, definitely give him a follow.
Known as the Plush King.
Lots of
and one of our guests. So of these people right here, Chris has been one of our guests that we've done. And then another one was Vanessa. And I think that's a play on words because of somebody on YouTube who his
I have
name
no
is
idea.
Vanessa, also known
I
as,
don't know if that's anything to do with that.
I think so, with the AAA.
I'm not
But
sure.
we don't know. But she's still doing a lot of shows. She's still doing she's also doing very, very well on the site also. And now we have our new, this is our new spotlight seller
For
right now.
episode number 10.
Episode number 10, it is Chef Mark Daniels. Okay. He has 82 items sold, 255 followers, mostly in garage sale category and toys and vintage.
Give him a
vintage
follower.
items. Give him a follow. He is
We
awesome.
met him as a buyer. He's one of our buyers, and he was telling us yesterday, yeah, he's trying to dip his toes in and get started on whatnot too. So I look forward to checking out one of his shows.
Yep. He is absolutely phenomenal. We can't wait to pop in on some of his shows. We get so busy with a lot of the things that we do, but we do try to come into all of those shows and the people that we talk about. And now the
growing sellers.
The growing sellers.
First one for the first episode was Gulf Coast Pickers, who is a very dear friend of ours. We got to meet up with him and his wife, Plush Queen Picker, in Nashville.
Ryan and Christine.
Mm-hmm. They are growing on whatnot. They're definitely, you can see, kind of trying to take it to a next level. Christine's doing like a morning show. They run both their shows under the Gulf Coast Pickers name. She's starting to do a morning show now. They always do these awesome raid trains. We were just on a Star Wars train with them last week.
Tracy's going to be on one this week.
Or then, when this episode comes out. Yep. But definitely someone to check out, and definitely someone to follow and talk to if you're interested in getting into raid trains, because they're very willing to work with people that are kind of new to the raid train thing. Our next one was Michigan Grail Seekers, which we're going to meet very soon.
Yep.
They're actually coming down to Georgia to meet up with someone else, and they're going to swing by. They're going to come hang out with Jack's Treasures, which we're super excited about.
We still can't figure out why people want to do that with us, but they do.
But they're so much fun. They're everywhere. It's like if I go in a show, I swear, Michigan Grill Seekers, there they are.
I absolutely love them. They're a lot of fun.
They're a lot of fun.
They tend to buy a lot of our clothing, Battle of the Best items.
And they're very community oriented. They're always hanging out in community shows and raid trains and things like that. And we just adore them. Our next one was Coco Loves Life, which we talked about before being a guest, but she is still going strong and whatnot. She is trying to take that to the next level. She just made a massive purchase of plush, because that's her thing. She bought, I want to say it's like 400 pieces or something like that she just bought, and she has some amazing stuff. I was jealous. But she's going to be bringing that to whatnot. And our next one was Wolverine Flipper, and she's going strong on the side. Oh, our next one was Nikki's Corner. Sorry, I skipped one too.
I did it
he
too.
Skipped one, and then I skipped one.
Yeah.
Nikki's Corner is she's building her business. She really is working hard on that primetime spotlight raid train to try to build that into something amazing, which it already is. But I see every week her putting all the time into building that. And she is seeing the results in her own growth, which I think is incredible.
And we got to meet her at the Nashville meetup. We've already met her before, but we got to see her.
I'm sure I mentioned this before. She's only 19 years old. I mean, amazing. Absolutely amazing. I want to have her on as a guest one day.
Yeah.
We will see if we can make that happen. Wolverine Flipper. She was our next featured established seller. She sells
growing sellers.
Growing sellers. Sorry. I forget the words.
I have it written on the sheet for her too.
She sells a little bit of everything. She does do some snacks. She does vintage. She does toys. She's here and there. She's another one very big on community. You'll find her in a lot of people's shows, modding and doing things like that, which is a great way to get your name out there.
Yeah.
And
she does a lot of raid trains too.
Yep. After that, we had Andy Sameta, who I don't even know what to say about Andy. He was on today. Probably right about when you were looking everybody else up.
Yeah.
He was doing Pokemon. The thing about Andy is you never know what he's going to have.
Or what he's going to say.
It's like today it's books, tomorrow it's electronics, then it's Pokemon, then it's clothing, and it's like
iPhones.
Yeah, you never know what Andy's going to have, and that's a lot of fun. And I'll tell you, that's a secret. That's how you can get some deals, because you just never know what's going to be there.
Andy's a great guy and a great supporter. He comes into our shows almost all the time.
Yep. Next is Sid 90, who I'm super excited about because we are doing a t-shirt battle with him this month. He's been doing a lot of kind of the, I guess, higher tier raid trains, doing like the Battle of the Best and stuff, which is also a great way to get your name out there. He's had a rough few months prior to this,
family members,
and hasn't been able to put as much into Whatnot as he wanted to. But now that he's back, he is like hitting the pavement hard and trying to just get out there and grow.
Here, let me hold that for 1 second.
You want me to let the cat in?
Oh, yeah. Cat scratching at the door. We've already recorded about 5 episodes of our regular shows, and the cat was in here, and now she's back in again. So you'll see Jesse's tail or Jesse or whatever that we got. Sorry.
Our next growing seller was Four Seasons Picker, who we met in Nashville, and it was just such a pleasure to meet her. She is such a spark plug.
She's a little firebug.
She is.
She's got energy to spare.
She's back home finally, and she's running shows. And I will tell you, she won the beaver. If you know, you know. There was a beaver that a lot of the resellers signed in Nashville.
Tracy was the first.
I was the first. And Fiona's Finds auctioned it off on Whatnot. And I was going to win this. It's like, I'm winning that beaver.
Ray said the same thing.
Ray said the same thing. But Ruth Ann was the one willing to put down the cash. And she won the beaver. She gets the prize. And I think that's
all
amazing.
Of the money for that, by the way, went to
a foster parent charity.
Foster parent charity. Okay, so it was a great event.
It was. And last week, our growing seller was Homeschool Mama, another one that we're looking forward to having on. Her and her husband Josiah, Taco Joe, they run shows all the time. They do a lot of clothing, a lot of books, but you'll also see them in like garage sales and doing raid trains. She loves going to garage sales. That's like her big thing. So right now she's super excited that it's garage sale season, and they're amazing.
Yeah.
And today it is episode 10. So we have a new featured seller in the growing sellers category.
You guys are going to love this one.
This is T. Linman Collectibles. Now
Funny.
This is a husband and wife duo, and they run separate shows under the same name. Tanya, she runs mostly plush and toys. Occasionally you'll see clothing, garage sale, things like that. But then her husband also runs shows. He does trading cards.
What's his name?
Brian.
Right.
He does trading cards and comics. So, depending on what day you go in, you may find something that interests you, or maybe it'll be something that interests like your significant other or something. They currently have a 2,000 sales, and they hit 3,000 followers yesterday.
Wow.
So that's is amazing. Our growing seller for episode 10.
Yep. All right. And next would be our established sellers. These are our sellers that generally have
big dogs.
Yeah, these are the ones that are difficult to get on a podcast as a guest, but some of them have agreed to come onto our podcast. We just haven't narrowed them down yet. But our established sellers started off with
Paul, the Philly Flipper. We had to make him our first established seller because he's done so much for us.
He's taken us under his wing and literally has just pushed us to do so much.
To be our best.
Yeah.
But he's crazy. He's running shows like every day.
Yeah.
Once again, lots of different categories. He does a lot of jewelry. He does toys and plush. He does garage sales. He does everything. He also does a lot of raid trains. Some of those
he runs raid train.
Some of those big trains and stuff. So Philly Flipper, if you don't know him, if you're not subscribed to him, go follow him.
Yeah, you're going to really enjoy that. Our next one is Jen of Jen's Multiverse. And what can I say about Jen's Multiverse other than she was our captain? Jen is a huge person on Whatnot. And by the way, both Paul and Jen do not sell static listing at all.
Yep.
They are strictly live sellers, okay? Strictly live sellers and making bank, okay? Jen, we got to meet Jen in Nashville, which was just amazing. It was amazing meeting Jen. She is exactly how you would expect her to be. Just a sweet, amazing person. She's still going strong, and white elephant shows and
Surprise sets.
Yes, she really is just an amazing seller.
Mhm.
And not only that, she does a community talk show on Mondays, and they are phenomenal. Okay, she gets a lot of people into those shows.
Our next established seller was Diana Hanger 909. Now, Diana's shows are great. You never know what she's going to say. I mean, she is got the most unfiltered personality I've ever met in my life. But for me, what she does for the community is her raid trains. She puts on these trains that just brings everybody together, and I love her for that.
She is amazing. She has a no thank you raid train where you can't say thank you in it. And both Tracy and I have epically failed at it multiple occasions and stuff. But
she's doing a train this week that's for bundles, and we're happy to be on that. And I really want to meet her one day.
She lives in California.
So that's a little bit of a challenge, but you know what? It's going to happen one way or another. And we love Hanger.
The next one was another one that we met at the Nashville meetup. And I can just tell you, it was probably one of my highlights of the Nashville meetup. And it was Kara, Flippin' Mimi, Texas. We adore Flippin' Mimi, Texas. I did not think Flippin' Mimi, Texas knew us from anybody. I mean, this is a woman who has over 30,000 followers, okay? Has shows of like 300 people in her shows. And we come into her show, and I'll be damned if she doesn't stop her show to say, welcome in Jack's Treasures, or Jack's Treasures is here. She is amazing. Okay. You guys will love her. She's had a lot of stuff happening in her life. She lost her sister. We pray for her daily. Okay. Because she did lose her sister to cancer. She's an amazing seller, and she was so polite with her time and gracious with her time at the Nashville meetup. And that was Kara, Flippin' Mimi, Texas.
Our next one was Carrie of American Arbitrage. And now he is primarily a seller on District at this point.
He owns one of the platforms.
He is a partial owner on some of the dip platforms. And from what I can tell, he is still like just killing it over there. I see notifications come up from him all the time. He also is part of the Trash to Cash podcast. And that is just,
and he does do shows on Whatnot, and he still has them scheduled, and he still runs his shows on Whatnot. So he definitely embraced the live selling.
A sports card seller, but he does sell other things as well. Definitely someone to check out. And if you're thinking about like checking out the District, that's a good place to start, is seeing some of the things he does, because those are sites that have established themselves and shown themselves to be very good, reputable sites over on the District platform.
Yeah, and he is somebody that we will probably try to get onto the podcast if we can manage with his time schedule. The next one that we had was Bree from Upcycled by Bree, and oh my gosh, we have not met Bree. She lives in Vegas. But we were introduced to Bree from Paul when Paul went to Vegas and stayed over with Bree. And she is amazing. She is a what you would call a recycler. So she grabs upcycler. She grabs rusted items, and I've never seen anybody do what she does with these upcycled items, and just turns around and sells the bejesus out of them.
They're amazing.
You know, very, very good.
If you ever go on one of her shows, it's incredible.
Yeah, our next one is the same way.
Yes, it's Leslie from A Reworker's Passion. She is mostly in the handmade category, selling soap and crocheted goods. She also does a mean tie-dye.
And she watches our episodes, and when she watches the episodes, she makes about 5 crochets.
Yeah.
You know, while she's doing it, and watches our live.
And she is another one that she's on a lot of raid trains and just out there in the community supporting everybody. And
she does a talk show on Mondays too.
Yep.
I think she does a talk almost every day. I'm not sure about every day, but I think she does one where she tries to do one of positive motivation. She's a very, very positive person. She's out of North Carolina. We didn't get to meet her at the meetup, but we look forward to meeting with Leslie, and we would love to have Leslie on as a guest too.
Yes.
The next one, I think everybody that ever watches any podcast, if you watch a reseller podcast, you know this our next spotlight, and that was Kevin the Commonwealth Picker.
Yes.
Kevin the Commonwealth Picker is partial owner to about 5 of the district platforms, sites on the platform, marketplaces on the platform, including Dibdit and Shop Commons.
Yep.
And just a phenomenal. He's got thousands and thousands. I mean, he's well over 10,000. I know that on the subscribers. I think he's closing in. I don't know, on 100,000.
I think he's right around 100. He may have even passed it.
Might have passed 100,000 followers or subscribers on YouTube. He does videos all the time. And we were talking about it on one of our other shows that we do. He is someone that you want to get a tremendous amount of knowledge from. It would be Kevin.
And we met him also at the Nashville meetup.
We did. We met him at the meetup. I get to talk to him because he and him have something in common. Other than the fact that we're both resellers, that's about the only thing that we have in common about reselling. But he was a former teacher, and I was a former teacher.
Taught social studies too, if I'm not
mistaken.
We
both started at the same. I didn't realize this, but we both started at the same year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it was really, really good to talk to him.
And last week we had as our established seller Donatella on Whatnot. Now I don't know if you've ever been in one of her shows before, but she just sells everything. It's crazy. I think she does storage units or big bulk buys, but she has some of the most amazing stuff.
She's a volume seller.
Oh my gosh. She's just sitting down volume selling jewelry and silver and crazy stuff.
And what we found out from last week's episode, when I was talking to Jeremy from Green 13, she is an OG seller on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So she was one of the ones who started selling on YouTube, and I think she still does. I'm not 100% sure.
Funny, I actually remember seeing some of her auctions a long time ago, and I didn't really know how they worked on YouTube, but I did remember seeing her, so that was super cool.
This is our 10th episode, so this is our 10th established seller, and our established seller for this week is, I'm gonna let Tracy do this.
Gamers Collectibles.
Yeah.
And he is someone that we met through Braid Trains, through Paul actually. And he specializes in video games, of course, but also toys and vintage stuff. And he has like a shoe show coming. He, like Brian, is also a veteran.
Mm-hmm.
And he runs some amazing shows. He brings the heat. And I love watching him. He's definitely someone that, with our business model, someone that we can look up to.
Yeah.
He currently has 23.5 thousand followers, and he's sold 6.6 thousand items.
Yeah. I mean, that's just amazing. When you get to that point where you can get that many followers, you're getting a lot of people into your shows.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're at that point of being an established seller, you are definitely more comfortable running things off at $1, knowing that the prices of those items are going to go up. When we talked with Jeremy, even though Tracy wasn't there, I'll still say we, because this is our podcast. He basically was saying that should be the goal of everybody, is you have dollar starts. You have dollar starts, starting off giving people deals, and people will come in and they'll buy those items. Now, another one of the features that we do on our show, we do a question and answer. So all of those guests that we did question and answers with them. Then we do our spotlight. We do something called pros and cons, and we're actually changing up pros and cons. Instead of it being our pros and cons, because everybody already knows our pros and cons, we're going to be changing up to where we're going to be asking the guests, what do they think are the best pros and the best cons of reselling? We started it last week with Jeremy, and what I do is I say, like with Jeremy, I said, a con of reselling, free giveaways and stuff. So then he would talk about why he thinks that's a con or things like that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then our next category is what's new. And I've got to pull this up because I have some
3 new
information.
features on Whatnot. What we do with What's New is we try to focus on what's new and live reselling. Now, unfortunately, right now we can only do these with Whatnot because that's primarily where we are. We have an account with Jambo, but we haven't started reselling on Jambo. We haven't started selling on there.
Piddle around around the district, pretty much.
Just for the district for a little bit and stuff. But when something new pops up on that and we find out about it, that will be part of our What's New segment.
But yes, What's New and Whatnot, they just did like an update to the app, and they have 3 new features that they put in, and hopefully they help you out in your selling. The first one is they've made the visibility of your shipping time much more obvious when people come in your shows. So when they click on you, they click on your show, they're going to see that shipping time. So those people that have that 3+ days shipping, that's gonna be a bad look. Whereas if you tend to keep down to like 1 day or less than 1 day, it's going to make you look a little bit better to potential buyers.
I think they've also done a little tweaking with that, but I don't know the total specifics on it. To whereas it was so easy to get less than a day shipping.
Right.
I think they've vamped that.
But it says here, the faster you ship, the more trust you build, and now the trust is easier for buyers to see. Another option they put in is clearer primary selling formats. When you go to start a show, you have to choose what your selling format is, which is auction, buy it now, and surprise sets. And basically what they did is they put a description in there of what that means, which to me, that was kind of a duh thing, but I mean,
well, we don't do surprise
we
sets,
don't.
so that's the reason why it was a little bit.
But you know, it shows, and that way for buyers when they go in a show, they're going to be able to see, hey, is this a show where people are auctioning stuff? Is this going to be a mystery surprise set show, or is this a show where people just have stuff in the buy it now? But now it should be a little bit clearer for everybody. And the last feature they did is they made it to where you can promote your entire show rather than certain blocks of time with promotions. We don't mess around with promotions. We may in the future, just because of liking to experiment with different features on Whatnot. And that may be something that we do just to bring information to you guys. But now you can promote the entire show instead of just a certain period of time.
Yeah.
So those are the 3 features that Whatnot just put into the app.
And one of the other segments that we do have is called Turn the Tables, where we let our guests ask us some of the questions. And we've had some very, very interesting questions, all the way from what was Chris's question was, what is the holy grail that you're looking for in storage units? Which was a great question. Almost every one of the questions that we got was a very, very good question. Jeremy put me on the spot again last week when he asked me what my business plan or business model was, and
Brian was like,
I was like, oh my gosh, I should have been prepared for it because he's done that to me one time before. He's done that to me one time before when I was guest hosting on his show on Whatnot. And I was like, oh my gosh, I got to think about something like that. But that's just a great segment. I love that segment of our show because it lets the guests go ahead and ask us any questions that they might have. And it breaks a little bit of the monotony of us just asking questions. Our show is based on interview type show where we want the guests, we want to learn about the guests, you know, what do they think about live selling and what can they do to help people to break through that live selling barrier that they might have.
So does that mean I can ask you a question?
Yes, if you would like to ask me a question, but then I get to ask you a question.
What type of show do you think we should add to our repertoire that we have never done on Whatnot before?
As far as a category?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, we've done so many categories though. Can I go back to one that we've done before, but we've only done one?
Sure.
Ephemera.
Yes.
Okay. We've had a lot of people asking us about ephemera, and we have a lot of ephemera, and we've never broken into ephemera. We tried breaking into comic books, and that was an epic fail on my part.
We've kind of discovered we can sell them in our garage sale shows, and I think that's what we'll continue doing. But yeah, I think ephemera, that's a great answer right there.
Okay.
Absolutely.
My question for you is what do you think the future holds for Jack's Treasures?
On Whatnot or
on live reselling?
On live reselling. Well, I see us continuing to grow. I see us finding the need to keep doing these kind of independent shows and not falling into the just doing trains thing, which has been, to me, kind of a downfall to us, that I think we need to keep focusing on those shows that are just us. And that's going to help us to reach a broader audience and just really keep building.
Wow, that's good. That was a great question.
Thank you.
I say question.
Answer.
Both was very good. Yes, she did very, very good. All right. Now, future guests. Here we go, guys. We have set up, we don't have them set up as far as we don't have scheduled, but I've already reached out to these following folks and asked them if they would be so kind as to share their time with Jack's Treasures and be a future guest on our What? Not Another Reselling podcast. And man, we got some good people for y'all. And we've already mentioned a bunch of them already in the show today. But our first one is going to be Scott, the Bearded Picker, who has his own YouTube channel, which is phenomenal. And he goes live twice a week. And it just is a great source of information and great at static listings, because he does a lot of static listings. But now he's transitioning over. So he's going to be a great guest.
I was actually listening to one of his last episodes earlier today, and he's just talking about how excited he is to really make live selling an important part of his business model.
Yeah. And I don't think he's ever going to go do away with static listings, but he's just going to be one of the guests that we have reached out to. And he said, yes.
Yes. And we've also talked to Shane of Soda City Flips. He is another one that owns a site over on District, and he specializes in books.
Yep.
And I think that would just be a very interesting alternative side of things that I would like to have him on. And
he has a YouTube channel also, and does a lot of fun things with his YouTube channel too. Soda City Flips. And again, there'll be some, I'll link down all of these guys down there too, if they have a YouTube channel for that. Another one is actually, we have two of them with the same name, so I'm going to mention them both. Well, no, actually I can only mention one because I only reached out to one.
Yeah.
And that would be Chris, and that is Flip the World Texas. Chris, Flip the World Texas has got a great business model that is different. And all of these guys are going to bring something different to the live selling table, if you will. Chris has this great business model where he goes to bins and does his shows live at the bins and literally has no overhead.
Yep.
He has no death pile or anything like that, if you will. But he has agreed, and we're going to be discussing setting up our schedule with Chris.
Next is Paul the Philly Flipper, who we mentioned as an established seller before. From the moment we started this podcast, I was like, that's my goal, is to get Paul on. And he's agreed to come on and chat with you guys. And he's incredible on Whatnot.
And YouTube.
But on Whatnot, he has just taken it over. I mean, I feel like that man could sell a ketchup popsicle to a woman in white gloves.
Oh, he can sell water to a drowning man easily. And he's a very good friend of ours. We met him at the Nashville meetup, obviously, and that's when I asked him, with Paul, I just got to get the time.
Yeah, he's very busy.
Very, very, very busy person.
We may be doing this at 3 a.m. sometime, and it'll be worth it.
The next one is also the same thing under the Paul category, and that is Jen of Jen's Multiverse. She said that she would love to come on to the thing. And it's another one where Jen is super busy doing Whatnot shows and just running an awesome business over there. Oh, yeah, the Multiverse Empire. She's on YouTube now, too. She's doing how-to videos on YouTube with shipping and selling and listing, which is really good. Plus her other shows like that. I
think having her on talking about the surprise sets, which is what Whatnot calls mystery shows, is going to be great, because a lot of people are interested in that, but they don't really understand them. So,
and having Paul on would be great, because Paul can talk about how he transitioned from YouTube to Whatnot,
right?
Because he had literally started Whatnot before and dropped Whatnot, and then came back to Whatnot, and then now is solely Whatnot.
And we have also talked to our good friends Dottie and Tracy of Lover Dogs and Vintage Thrifter, to have them on and talk about what they do. Because once again, it's a whole different way of selling. Dottie is, if not the premier tool seller on Whatnot, she has got to be darn close. That woman can sling some tools.
Yes.
And Tracy, her partner,
and she's also funny as all get out. She's got a great personality.
Tracy does a little bit of everything, kind of like us. She does a lot of media. She does garage sale stuff. She does toys and plush. And so I feel like they have a very interesting story.
And we just spent a whole 5 days with them. When this video comes out on Sunday, it'll be at the end of the Antique Alley highway sale, where they invited us up to come and stay with them in their camper. We're staying in their camper, and they have a house where the things, and they have a warehouse, and we're going to be selling out of the warehouse, and we're going to do some whatnot shows. It's going to be
so unless fun. They completely decided they can't stand us after this this much time together, we're going to definitely try to have them on.
That's possible. We spent a lot of time with Dottie and Tracy up at the Nashville meetup. So there's a lot of exciting things happening with our podcast. We are going to be continuing because obviously we got so many guests. We're going to be trying to get back on some of the guests that we've had on before to talk and to do some updates.
And I think when we were going through our list, I kept mentioning other people that I'd like to have on too that we just haven't reached out to yet. So
that we haven't gotten to yet, but we will be reaching out to you. And if it's just not your thing, or you just you don't want to
feel
do
free
that,
to say no.
Yeah, we have absolutely no problem with that. We do have, like I said, we have some guests already lined up. But this is our 10th show, which we are very proud of, because this was part of our 30-day challenge from the Unemployed for a Living podcast with Corey and Ken, where they put out a challenge to everybody to do a side hustle to make an extra $100. Now, we don't want to do a side hustle because we make plenty of money on our reselling business. So we said that our side hustle, or our challenge, was going to be to launch our podcast that was focused strictly on live reselling.
Yes.
Okay. We have some great ideas for some other guests that we're going to be bringing onto the show. One of them that we're going to be trying to reach out to bring onto the show is super controversial. Okay. But she's a live reseller. Okay. And she's very, very strong, opinionated, but she owns her own district marketplace.
So we're hoping that maybe she will agree to come on as well.
Yeah. And that's the one thing. Another thing about our podcast too is, guys, we're not going to sit here and blow smoke up your behinds. All right. We're going to tell you the good things and the bad things about live reselling, because live reselling will never replace static selling as a whole. As a whole. Now, some people are those established sellers like Paul and Jen, that they don't need to do the eBay anymore.
And we're working towards that. We're trying to.
We are. We're very, very far away. But we also are under the guise of wanting to buy our time back, to whereas we're doing things. When we're doing our shows are strictly for certain goals.
Yeah. Like
going to a meetup. In the next month, next month we are going to Ohio to meet up with Ken SSK Promo and his lovely significant other, Jill Kacherka. And we're going to spend about 3 or 4 days with them doing a citywide sale in Ohio, and maybe run into Roman. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we run into Roman. And we also are going to run into Lysandra and Tony.
We're going to stop maybe either on the way or on the way back, and spend some time with them and see kind of behind the scenes of their business model, which is exciting to us.
Right. And what we do is we do these Whatshot shows for that. We say, okay, we're going to do a Whatnot show to pay for that. We want to go to Louisiana and see Chris, the Cajun reseller, and Cajun Queen, and Swamp Picker,
and Alicia.
And Alicia Garcia, and all of these people. We just want to go and we want to see them and meet them and do things like that. We want to do some more meetups.
Yep.
We want to talk to more people. Shout out to Mike Medco of Mike Medco Meetups. He is an amazing YouTuber who's just started doing his channel and stuff. I'll link down his channel down below, because he talks about doing meetups. But this is what we're doing. We're excited. We are so happy that everybody stuck around and is supporting us for the 10 episodes that we've done. We're not planning on stopping. We're going to be going forward and hopefully keep growing. Our goal is not necessarily to become so monetized that we don't have to sell anymore.
No.
But we would, of course, everybody would
be
like to be
neat
kind of cool to be
get to that
monetized.
point.
But for us, it's more or less we're doing this to have a little bit of fun,
Mhm.
to get our names out there, get our branding out there.
Get
That's
Jack out there.
That's Jack, who a lot of people know if they follow our things, and if you were in the first episode, our business name is named Jack's Treasures for that cat right there, who we lost last year on Mother's Day, and last Sunday was Mother's Day. So we we had Mother's Day without Jack. It was our first full Mother's Day without Jack. But thank you guys for everybody to come that hanged around till the end. We have a link down there below to Stop Soldier Suicide, plus all of the links down to everybody.
Yes.
If you get a chance, go down there, give them a follow, give them a check out, and see what you can do.
If you have questions on live selling you'd like us to cover, drop those in the comments down below. Or if you feel like you have an interesting story, something new about live selling, drop me a message. We would love to talk to you and see about maybe having you on. Or
yeah, if you want to be a guest on and you are a live seller, just reach out. Okay. Only thing that we could say is no.
Yeah.
And we probably won't. But y'all, peace out from Jack's Treasures. Thanks for hanging around, and we will see you next week with another guest. We will have another guest on next week.
Bye.